Apple's mission statement has long included music. Steve Jobs used artists as diverse as Yo-Yo Ma and the Beatles to inspire products like the iPod. It follows then that when Apple released a smart speaker, it would sound fantastic and have a stylish appearance. But the HomePod lags behind rivals in terms of the smart component of smart speaker. Siri is just incapable of performing as many tasks as Alexa and Google Assistant, but can it satisfy Apple aficionados? Although the firm has stopped selling the original HomePod, it will still receive maintenance. The $99 HomePod Mini, which stands just 3.3 inches tall and has extremely good sound, fits eyes as an affordable alternative. Look out our comprehensive Apple HomePod Tiny review. The HomePod continues Apple's tradition of prioritizing appearance. This plain, circular cylinder coated in a substance resembling fabric is attractive, but it doesn't do anything novel. It mimics the Wonderboom Bluetooth speaker from Ultimate Ears in certain aspects. When Apple's Assistant is active, a hazy, multicolored blob appears in the center of the circle. If you press and hold the top, Siri will ask you if you're sure you want to switch off the microphone, if you don't want Apple's Assistant to listen in. Unfortunately, the HomePod lacks a visible indicator that lets you tell if the microphone is on or off. This function is included on nearly every other smart speaker I've tested, and Apple should include it, so that you can tell whether the HomePod is listening for your voice. The HomePod is substantially smaller than the Google Home Max 13.2 by 7.4 by 6 inches, which appears enormous when compared to the other two at 6.8 inches height and 5.6 inches in diameter, but slightly larger than the Sonos One 6.4 by 4.7 by 4.7 inches. The HomePod could not have been simpler to set up. I only had to hold my iPhone a few inches away from the HomePod after it made its startup noise for a pop-up asking for setup to emerge. It was considerably simpler than the Sonos One method, which, among other things, necessitates waving your phone about the room to correctly configure its audio, and took less than 5 minutes in total. You can only set up the HomePod using an iOS device. If you don't own an iPhone or iPad, you're out of luck. A $349 smart speaker must, above all, sound well, and the HomePod succeeds in that regard. The speaker's array of 6 microphones, big woofer, and 7 tweeters enable it to automatically adjust its audio profile to the space it is in. The Sonos One has the same capability as the Google Home Max, but in order for its speaker to modify the audio, you must wander around your home with your smartphone, while the speaker plays a variety of tones. I placed the HomePod next to the Google Home Max, and 2 paired Sonos Ones on a wooden console to test it, and I streamed the identical music to each device using Spotify on all of them. All were good, but there were a few minor variations. The HomePod delivered a somewhat fuller sound than a single Sonos One for $175, most notably in the bass department, but not by a significant margin. Instead, the dual speakers outperformed Apple's product with a deeper sound that did a better job of filling my living room when I coupled 2 Sonos Ones. The HomePod's bass response was excellent, even at higher settings. The low-end notes of songs like Shape of You by Ed Sheeran and Summer Madness by Kool and the Gang came out clearly and cleanly. The main restriction is that the HomePod only supports Apple Music. Siri can still recognize the music that is playing, the musicians in the song, and more. In contrast, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and other services are supported by both the Sonos One and the Google Home Max. Yes, you can stream music from your iPhone to the HomePod using AirPlay, but at that point, you could just as easily use any Bluetooth speaker. A software update will enable you to use multiple speakers for whole home audio, and pair 2 HomePods for stereo sound. To install $350 speakers throughout your home, you'd need some serious cash. Apple's HomeKit has consistently trailed behind Google's HomeKit and Amazon's in terms of connecting to other smart home gadgets. This is due to Apple's stricter security regulations. In order for goods to be compatible with HomeKit, manufacturers had to include a particular chip in them. However, Apple altered its regulations so that you simply need software certification today, so more businesses should start supporting HomeKit. The ability to utilize the HomePod as a HomeKit hub and remotely control scenes is another feature I like. Only an iPad or Apple TV could do this function in the past. In reality, Siri replied immediately to my request to turn on and off my lights. Although there are many more compatible devices for Alexa and Google Home, HomeKit now supports smart home appliances including Philips Hue lighting, August smart locks, iHome smart plugs, and ecobee smart thermostats. For instance, they enable Netgear Arlo security cameras, Nest products, as well as a variety of other smart lights from Sengeld and TP-Link. Only the $399 Google Home Max was more expensive than the $349 HomePod, which was one of the most expensive smart speakers. Right now, Sonos has a promotion where you can save $50 by purchasing 2 Sonos Ones, instead of just 1 HomePod. There was a discount offered for the HomePod, which helps to make the cost more tolerable. Instead of $349, the price is now $299. I've listened to the HomePod, and there's no denying that Apple produced an excellent smart speaker. Unfortunately, Google and Amazon have already established the standard for what a smart speaker is capable of, and the HomePod lags far behind in that regard. It is unable to do commonplace tasks like setting numerous timers and distinguishing between multiple voices. It's frustrating that you can only use Siri to manage playback from Apple Music for music, as opposed to other sources like Spotify, Pandora, and Tuning. I would purchase two Sonos ones rather than a single Apple HomePod if I had this much money to invest on a smart speaker. Better audio is produced, more music streaming services are supported, and Alexa is used considerably more. The HomePod is still the greatest the only smart speaker for you if you are an Apple fanatic. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, I will expect them in the comments. Have a nice day and see you soon.